Commissioner Dibdahl,
Here.
Commissioner Cronin,
Here.
Commissioner Wire,
Here.
Commissioner Shaw,
Here.
and Mr. Mayor Lindsay.
Here. You have before you the agenda for this evening.
Motion to adopt agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Is there anything anyone would like to discuss that's on the consent calendar?
Mike, is it true we got our bucket truck?
Yesterday, that is very true. You got it.
What year or what model year is it?
It's 3 years ago when they got it, so it'd be 2022.
That we got in 25?
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion to accept the consent calendar?
So move. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Seeing no unfinished business, under new business, resolution number 2025-08, authorization for assigned fund transfers. Jameson or Amy, would one of you want to speak to that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this moves a number of funds from unassigned to assigned so they can be used. 3 different areas here. I'll do some rounding. We've got about $25,000 from the police capital outlay, and that is in line with the conversations that were held at the last meeting to be used for some of the items that Police Chief Meyer had outlined. And then there is about $49,000 in the community center to move to the MMR fund. So this is a fund that the university and the city both put funds in each year. That's a budgeted amount. That is something that is being put into that account for our 2024 allocation that we did not make last year. We missed that, so we're catching up to make sure that the community center has enough money in its reserve fund. And then the last one is regarding to some equipment repair at the water plant, and that was in line with discussion that was made in August of last year. That also came to the city commission at that time. I'll stand by for any questions.
Questions or comments?
Do we have a schedule to replenish these reserve funds then, or is it just something we're gonna budget next year, or?
In each year's annual budget, you are able to put money into reserves, any reserves that you'd like. So if I'll use the community center for an example, we cover a certain percentage of that, and there's an agreement out there that states how fast we replenish that maintenance and repair reserve, and so that's something that we just budget for each year. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question about the 25,000 that we're doing for the interview recording system? Was there anything in the new building plans budgeted for a recording system, or this was not budgeted in the new building?
Yeah, so it's different from the construction costs on the building. And so it's a lot of the technology in the building we paid for separately. It's kind of an owner-provided thing. And that was budgeted in the 24 budget, I believe, but the expense didn't come through until 2025. We didn't have it in the 2025 budget. And that's why Police Chief Meyer was here last week asking for that to move from the reserve fund into the into an assigned fund, so that it can be used for this year. Any costs that he has on those items that'll be for future expense would still be budgeted into each annual budget.
Okay, thank you.
And then this also covers the flashing beacons at the elementary school, so it isn't the full 25 for the inside.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Hey, if not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 2025-08.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approve the application for a property tax abatement. Again, I'll ask Jameson to talk about this one.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We've received an abatement application for refund on property taxes from Calise Homes. This is due to a mistake in the assessment process, and then in order for the county to make that refund, it has to be approved by the municipality. So in this case, there were two parcels of land that were replatted together into one parcel. That one final parcel was where the property taxes were correctly assessed to and paid through. And on the county's system, one of the two previous parcels, for some reason, continued to exist, and they had sent an assessment to Calise Homes on the one parcel that should have gone away. So ultimately, this is just a mistake that is being cleaned up, and we need to approve it before it can go back to the county. The bottom line is that the correct property tax was paid through the new parcel that had been created.
Questions or comments?
I'm not sure if it matters or not, but it's not property taxes, it's special assessment for sidewalk.
Oh, thank you, that is an important distinction. Yep, it's the special assessment, yep.
I'll make a motion to approve the application for the special assessment tax abatement 2025-4.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 18, consider award of bid, Madison Municipal Airport reconstruction, apron and taxi lane, Sukup Construction. Jameson or Ryan?
I'll take
Ryan?
this one, yeah. The bid opening for the reconstruction of the apron and taxi lane airport improvement project was held on Thursday, April 3rd. There were 5 bids received. This bid was broken down on 3 divisions, of which Sokip's Construction Incorporated was the lowest bidder on all of those divisions. Their total bid was 33% lower than the engineer's opinion of probable cost. So the total is $683,826. And so approval of this would be to award base bid 1 to Sukup Construction in the amount of $273,984.80. Division 2 base bid $121,257.55, and Division 3 base bid $63,215.65. Sokup Construction Incorporated is a very reputable contractor, and we would recommend awarding the bid.
Ryan, do you want to also mention the percentage change in that helped us out a lot this year?
Yeah, I sure can. So we were anticipating a much higher percentage of local cost share for this project. It came out to 19.7% local. We were anticipating at one time up to 40% might be a local cost. So not only did the bids come in a lot lower than the opinion of probable cost, but our percentage of cost for the project is also lower.
Any questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to award bid Madison Municipal Airport reconstruction apron and tax lane to Sukup Construction Incorporated.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approve the agreement with KLJ Engineering for professional services on the airport project number AIG 3-46-0029-027, 2025, and AIP 3-46-0029, 028, 2025, construction, administration, and construction observation. Again, Ryan, do you want to address this one?
Yeah, so this would be engineering services for the aforementioned project that you just awarded the bid to Sukup Construction for. The amounts are 19.7% of ineligible or local cost, and then the federal government and the state pay 80.3%. So for FAA project closeout report, the total cost and compensation is $12,777.09, of which the local government pays $2,517.09. And construction administration and observation, the total compensation is $197,030.89. Our portion of that would be $38,815.09. So our total amount that the local is responsible for is $41,332.17, and the amount that the state and federal government are responsible for is $168,475.81.
Questions at all? Okay, if no questions, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve item 19.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Number 20, approve the agreement with KLJ Engineering for professional services, airport project number AIP 3-46 0029 029 2026, planning services. And again, Ryan, do you want to address that?
Yeah, so this agreement is made up of two components. One is the airport master plan and an airport layout plan update. The total cost of compensation for that is $213,452. And then the other portion is aeronautical survey services in the amount of $151,221. That total amount of this agreement is $364,673. For this, the federal government pays 95%. We have two grants that we can use for that, the Airport Improvement Program and the Airport Improvement Grant. And then the state pays 2.5% and the local pays 2.5%. So our amount of this, roughly $365,000, is $9,117.
Questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve item number 20.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All of those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 21, authorize the mayor to sign change order number 2, Park Creek Walls Improvement Site number 2 with Kesselut Excavation and Dirt Work Services, LLC. Jameson or Ryan, who wants to address this one?
I can take this one too.
Ryan, okay.
So this change order number 2 is at the Park Creek Wall Site 2. This would be in Memorial Park. The inlet of the box culvert structure at Egan Avenue doesn't have adequate scour protection where the new walls and the new repair of the walls come up to that box culvert. So Banner is recommending removal of the material that's currently there. There is some rock material there, but it's not adequate for scour protection, and replacing that with Class C riprap, which should hold the channel better. The additional scope of this work increases the contract price by $10,280. This is going through FEMA and state approval as well, and we anticipate that we would have roughly 15% of that cost, or I didn't do the math, but 15% of that 10,000, so. $1,542.
Questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign change order number 2, Park Creek Wall Improvements, Site 2, to Kesselut Excavation and Dirt Work Services, LLC.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 22, consider approval of cost for new green substation transformer storage. Jameson, you want to address this one?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we are moving forward with the reconstruction of the green substation on the north side of town by the Playhouse. And as we are getting into that project, we will need to have a place to store the large substation transformer once the transformer is complete until the station is ready for that to be installed. So the electric department and DGR has worked on a few different options for where that storage can take place. Storage of a transformer seems like a simple thing, but I'll have Mike Plustra here, who's our utility director, walk through what that looks like for us. They had outlined 3 different options, one being storing at the supplier of the transformer, who is Pittsburgh Transformer, or 2, storing at the existing green substation until the reconstructed substation is ready, or 3, storing it at the City of Madison shops here where there's more of a secure environment. Mike, do you want to kind of outline what the process is for storage and then ultimately transporting this transformer to the final site?
Yes, I can. So we're looking at option 1, storage at PTT facility, which would include Pittsburgh Transformer taking care of all of the maintenance, oil filling, testing that they would have to do. It's going to be in and out rather than in, out, with storing at our own facility or at a third-party facility. A lot of those prices are going to include the crane picks, the filling of the oil, the testing, things of that sort. Making sure the nitrogen system is working to maintain the oil. We would have to provide power, so to keep the cabinet heaters going as well. So there's a lot of moving parts that we would have to do if we would store it ourselves. Just the inspection alone and the testing that we would have to do, I think that would be outside of the realm of the employees at the City of Madison. And also recommending storage or option 1 gives us the opportunity for the warranty to cover all that stuff as well.
Thanks, Mike. The cost, I'll just outline that real quick. So the cost for option 1, they did a best case and worst case for it, and the best case scenario was $136,000 for storage. The worst case scenario is essentially we need to store it there longer, and there's more storage costs, looks like $8,000 a month. And so they figured a worst case would be $184,000. The other options, best case, worst case, you'll see there, but they're identical. For storing at the existing green sub, it's $136,400. I don't know that that includes any security fencing. So if we'd be storing it there on site, we'd probably want to make sure that is secured. It's a valuable asset for us. And then the last option 3, which was at City Madison shop, that would be a more secured environment, but there are some additional costs there as you're having to move it around town more, $141,400. So even though the worst case scenario for the storage at Pittsburgh Transformer is higher than the others, the best case scenario lines up with the cost for the others. And it also relieves us of a lot of responsibilities of maintenance and providing power and building security fences or whatever else might be necessary for it. So that was where staff came in as a recommendation for storage at the supplier. We'll stand by for any questions. Mike, anything else to add?
Do we have a timeline as to when we anticipate the substation to be in progress and completed?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One of the things that's going to hinge on right now is the land swap between us and DSU. I know they've had to do some re-engineering at DGR as well with rotating the substation 180 degrees. Worst case scenario, spoke with them this morning, not worst case, best case scenario is we break ground on it this fall.
Okay.
Worst case would be next spring.
So now this has to go through Board of Regents, I'm assuming, for DSU's approval for the swap?
Yeah, there'd be some action there. We'd be looking at starting with a long-term easement because the land swap would actually have to go through not just the regions, but also the legislature, and we know that'd be a challenge. So the first step there would be to have a long-term easement that allows us to build on the new site. And then once the substation's complete and moved and the old one's decommissioned, then we'd be able to officially swap the land. So the land, for some background here, the land where the substation is built is owned by us, and then the parking to the west, that's often used for the playhouse, is also the city parcel. And that's 1 acre. So what we are working with DSU on is swapping an acre for an acre to move it slightly to the northwest, where their additional parking is at, and we put it back in the corner because we don't have a high priority to be on Washington for a substation. So there's a number of steps, and DSU's been supportive of working through on finalizing that location.
Very good.
It'd be nice to get that grading done this summer, if we could, and cut down on our storage as much as possible.
Agreed.
That's the goal.
How many months of storage are included in option 1?
12, option 1 would be 12. Worst case, it'd be 18-month.
Thank you.
So I have a question that pre-exists Mike here, so it's probably more Jameson directed, but when we selected Pittsburgh, that was the shortest or shorter lead time of a transformer that met our requirements, because the transformer was a longer lead time or the longest lead time item of the project. How are we now getting it 12 months early?
I can't recall that prior bid, what the details were. There's been a number of equipment bid out.
Okay. Just seems extreme to have it 12 months early.
Yeah, I can get some information on that.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments?
So we're getting it 12 months early, and then we have to pay to store it another 12 months.
Yes. Well, it's,
I'd have to look back at the bid to see if we're actually getting it 12 months early, or if the substation creation timeline is altered too.
yeah, I don't think they're delivering it early. We're just not ready for it.
Other questions or comments?
So it's stored in a conditioned space, do you know, or?
Yes, it has to have power right there, so they have everything that's right in their facility that would take care of that.
But they're not gonna put oil in it,
They will. It has to be stored fully dressed.
really? So they're
Yes.
gonna put oil in it and then take the oil back out and then transfer it?
Do you know offhand how many gallons of oil that amounts to?
Not right offhand, I don't.
Okay. I would think it'd be a substantial amount.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the cost of storage for the new green substation transformer at option 1, which is stored at Pittsburgh Transformers.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 23, authorize the staff to initiate a wage study with Alternative HR. Jameson?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I believe our HR director was planning on making it back for this. Could we come back to this one?
We can.
Yep.
Yep, we will move on to number 24, approve technology surplus employee buyback program. And again, I'll ask Jameson to address that one.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So throughout our departments, we have a large number of technology that's used for our work. And so, of course, over time, we replace that, and when we do so, we're looking for a more streamlined and efficient way of surplusing that equipment. And so we came up with the idea of an IT surplus program that allows employees to buy back that equipment. Here we go. This is helping to reduce some e-waste, as well as bringing in some revenue for the city, and again, simplifying the process here. So this would still require all technology items to go through our surplus process, which is following South Dakota codified law. And for that to happen, the commission will declare items surplus, and then those items are appraised, and if the items are under $2,500, which would be majority of items we're working with, then the city has the liberty to dispose of it as we deem appropriate. Anything over $2,500 will still follow the surplus process by having competitive sales. I'll note that before we look at declaring anything surplus, we also want to make sure that no other departments can use it. So if it's a tablet or something that one department has no need of anymore, we do look to see if other departments have need before we look to surplus it. The items will be assigned a value based on market value, depreciation, as well as its current condition. And then employees would have the opportunity on a first come, first served basis to buy those items. So this helps the city to get a little bit of revenue back. It makes it very easy for us to do that without having to go out on some kind of marketplace to sell those items. And these are things that we would get rid of anyway. Some of them might end up in the landfill if we didn't have someone to easily buy them. So again, looking to reduce some e-waste as well. Jed, did I miss anything?
That pretty much covers it. Like I said, the whole idea here is to reduce e-waste. You know, just to give you an idea, last year when we did a first round for the e-waste out of City Hall, SEAM came and took that away. It was a cost of $1,200 and some change. So basically, we're trying to reduce that bill every year. So
We'll stand by for questions.
Questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the technology surplus employee buyback program.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 25, acknowledge the resignation of Commissioner Adam Shaw, effective July 1st, 2025. Jameson or Adam, either of you want to speak to that?
I don't think I have much to say. I think it's public knowledge that Adam's taking a new job opportunity, so we wish him well, even though we'll miss him here. Unfortunately, if you refuse to acknowledge this resignation, it doesn't change anything. He's probably still going to leave. But we wanted to get this noted so the public is aware of that change and then set a timeline for when we would be moving forward. So Adam's intention is to continue serving as a city commissioner through the end of June, and then on the 1st of July, a vacancy would be official. And the next item in our agenda will lead us towards how we'd handle that. Stand by for any questions.
Questions or comments?
I did put in there in case my house were to sell and I close out before the July date. Obviously, I'm not a tax-paying citizen anymore, so I would have to resign prior to that date.
Unless you're renting and not paying
I'm not
property
at
tax.
that point, because I'll be moving at that point, because I have a house down there already.
Okay.
So,
Well, I personally want to say thank you for the time that you've put in and the effort in that and the expertise that you've, afforded the commission.
I've enjoyed my time,
We've enjoyed it too, most of the time.
most of the time.
Any other questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion? Just a motion to acknowledge.
I'll make a motion to acknowledge the resignation of Commissioner Shaw as of July 1.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 26, approval of the application and appointment process of a city commission vacancy. And Jameson, I'll ask you to address that one.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's been some time since we've had a vacancy on the city commission. It certainly predates my tenure here, so we have come up with a process for filling that. We want to solicit any kind of interest from the public, and since Adams announced his new job the last month or so, we have heard from some folks in the public who are interested in potentially submitting an application. So this is the official process for that. The application will have some background information on how the city commission government works, as well as the appointment process and the timeline. So we are looking at releasing applications tomorrow. In the agenda packet is a paper application that shows the content that we're looking for, and if anybody wanted to print that off and turn it in or mail it in, we'd certainly accept that. But I'm encouraging people to go to our website. There'll be a digital form. I think that'll be easiest for those submitting as well as for us at the city. It'll be easy to find on the homepage. We're adding a button just for that vacancy application, so it should be easy to find. If not, you can always pick up the phone and we'll be happy to help you. So those applications will be released tomorrow, April 22nd, and then we are calling them due at the end of day on Wednesday, May 14th. So that gives, I believe, a little more than 3 weeks for that to be out there. And on Tuesday, May 20th, our current intent is to hold a special commission meeting so that the commission can ask questions of any applicants and gauge who our applicant pool is. I'll note that we'll hold those interviews in a public session, but the city commission does reserve the right to enter executive session, whether that's to have additional discussion amongst yourselves or with any applicants. Sometimes we know the applicants might have questions of you and they prefer to do that in a private manner, so we want to be able to give that opportunity to the applicants as much as we do to you. At that point, the commission will be able to decide who they would like to appoint to fill the vacancy. And our intent for swearing in of the new commissioner would be on the first regular meeting in July, which is Monday, July 7th, of course, at 5:30 p.m. The application is pretty straightforward, some basic contact information, and then answering some questions on their background, why they want to serve, and ways that they would like to see the community be improved. I think that covers it. Are there any questions?
Questions or comments? I think it's very straightforward and gives everybody in the city an opportunity to fill out an application if they so have a desire. So do we have an approval or questions or comments? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve application and employment process of city commission vacancy.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 23, authorize staff to initiate a wage study with Alternative HR. Kristen, would you like to come up and address that?
Well, she's coming up. I'll give a little bit of background here. 9 years ago, the city implemented a new step and grade system, and in that time, of course, the market continues to change. Our city employees have received wage increases each year, and it is best practice amongst municipalities to have wage updates to make sure that our employees' wages and salaries are keeping up with the market. We have looked for a couple different solicitations on proposals, and the one that we're recommending to move forward with is Alternative HR. I'll note that in last year's budget, approved by the commission, we had $80,000 for a wage study. We're happy to report that the proposal from Alternative HR is coming in much lower than that. There was a memo in the wage study that summarizes this, although I'll note that we did miss one component. It noted that the cost is between $10,000 to $13,000. That is the data component to collect all the data for the study. The analysis and the time spent to make those recommendations on changes is an additional component. We're expecting to be between $8,000 and $10,000. So it's important to note that the total cost that we're expecting would be between $18,000 and $23,000, somewhere in there. Kristen, anything to add?
No, I don't.
Do you have a background on the Alternative HR at all?
We reached out to them for their services and proposal, as well as a few other companies. I've put the emphasis on employee transparency, building that trust and relationships within the city, as far as knowing with how the last Condrey study went transpired. And so with that, I got a good feeling, very good vibe. We've had good feedback. We reached out to a few other past cities that have used them for services, and we heard all but good feedback from them as well. So,
Will there be interim information available for the commission, or will it be just at the final?
no, I hope if we have your approval tonight to continue to move forward, I will continue to work with Karen and Garrett on moving this forward, and I believe Michelle will be our person that we have in contact, and I will keep you as updated as I am throughout the process. So,
Other questions or comments?
My question is this, Jameson, why do cities not put pressure on the municipal league to keep the wages studies done in the state?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, I think what Adam's referring to is that the municipal league has a database that's meant to hold wages for data purposes. I think the problem there is that it's not the municipal league who keeps that up to date, but it's the cities. So it's all of us that would have to go into there and enter that data. And cities aren't great about doing that. And because the data isn't usually up to date and doesn't have all the cities in it, cities don't look at it, cities don't enter data into it. It's a negative cycle, I would say. But the data is one part of it. So Alternative HR notes that they use ERI Salary Assessor. That gets them a lot of data from all sorts of cities and businesses. That's one component of it. The second component is putting the work into analyzing that data and making recommendations on what changes should be made. Anybody can look at data, but interpreting it is a whole nother game.
So what are we gonna do if we come back and we're way overpaying people?
I think that'd be up for you guys to discuss and decide. I would recommend some kind of long-term strategy to get us in line with those markets.
Cause it's not gonna be my decision, cause I'm probably not gonna be here when this data comes
Right.
back.
Yeah, and if there's changes that need to be made, if they're drastic, you certainly don't need to make them all in 1 year, whether it's one way or the other. You can make those changes over the next few years. I don't anticipate we'll have any significant changes, especially going backwards, like your question implies. But I think that any changes that we need to make will be more minor, and we wouldn't be looking to make those changes until the 2026 year starts. So that gives us time to analyze the recommendations and work those into the budget in a way that is satisfactory. Good questions.
I've always struggled with this, and I just feel like we could effectively use $18,000 to $23,000 elsewhere. And I've always stood hard on this. And I just feel like I think we open ourselves up to a giant can of worms when we do these things. And after the Condrey and the way it went the last time, and I was involved in some of that, it did not go well. And I just worry about that.
Yeah, when Condrey was implemented, that was a big change. It was a new system. The way they implemented it, I think is up for debate. I think there's people I don't know that anybody would say that we would implement it exactly the same way as it was implemented 9 years ago. And we're not looking for any big changes. We're not implementing a new step and grade scale. We're simply looking at our current wages and our current grades and how comparable are they to other municipalities. We want to make sure we're keeping up with municipalities, we're keeping up with businesses in our own area, of course, because that's where employees can get stolen away from as well.
And I'll have to say one more thing, and then I'm gonna shut up.
Oh, go ahead, yeah.
I think I would be more concerned if we had a ton of job openings, but we really haven't. We've done pretty well of getting things filled and attracting good employees and, for the most part, keeping our people here. And I feel like we've given pretty good raises and our benefit package is good, and, those are things that I think we've done a good job of.
I'd agree, and I think retention has been very high. We'd like to, of course, keep it high, and I'd also note that if it's possible that the recommendations come back that very positive, that especially when you take into consideration the benefit changes, we've seen that we are very competitive, and I think that's something that would be good for the commission to know, that'd be good for our employees to know, and that would be good for the public, just so that they know that their government is treating its employees right, and also for anybody who's potentially interested in future openings, because we will, of course, every year have a number of openings. We want the public to know that we're a great place to work and that we've got very competitive salary and benefits.
And is the staff aware that you want to do this?
Yeah, so this is something that Kristen and I have discussed for some time. We feel would be a right time to do it, and it's also something that we have heard from staff through some of our employee committees, and just in one-on-one conversations, staff are looking for a wage study. Most cities do this about every, is it 2 to 3 years?
2 to 3 years.
And we don't have to do it every 2 to 3 years, but we do feel like 9 years means we're due for an update or for a check from a third party, not our own selves looking at our wages, but a third party coming in and to see that whether we're competitive with the market.
I agree, Jameson, with a statement you made about anybody can, look at the data out there, but I feel our staff, our management team know our employees the best. And they know the value, what they can and can't do, or what, you know, the capabilities. And even, what is this, you know, this, what are they, alternative HR? I mean, they don't know the employees, they're only gonna know the job descriptions, right? I mean, they're analyzing descriptions versus employees, is where I'm,
Yes, you're right. They don't
Value
know the
there.
employees. They're gonna be looking heavily on the grade scale. So we have a beginning, we have an end, and whatever employees are filled in there, they wanna make sure that the positions, the job duties, and responsibilities that we're asking of our employees match what the market is paying. Kristen, would you have anything to add, or that?
No, that pretty well sums that.
One of
You're
the
right, we know
frustrating-
our employees, so if we feel like an employee needs to be moved along, we have the ability to do that, but they're gonna be really focused on that scale.
One of the things that was frustrating in that to the commission the last time around was job titles changed a lot. And so, you know, what the commission had down as job titles came back as different titles. And do you anticipate that, or will they be taking the job titles that we have currently and comparing?
I anticipate the job titles that we have currently. I've been out on to the database that Alternative HR will use. They have a lot of the same similar job titles, which is a very good component to start off a level playing field, right? Although I do want to leave it open to, if you have a supervisor or an employee that feels that their job responsibilities have changed significantly since the last Condrey study and when that job title was approved, this is also a good time for them to be able to come forward and express that belief. And then also for supervisors and HR and administrative staff to have those conversations to understand where has there been growth, where has there been a change, and do we need to recognize that change in a level of compensation? So I don't want to rule it out, but I don't anticipate a lot of title changes, if that answers your question.
I think it does, yeah. Because, you know, that was one of the things in that commission back 9 years ago, and I was a part of that too, was where did these titles come from? And it seemed like there was quite a few of them that, you know, had totally different titles than what, you know, the commission had in mind.
Yeah.
So, other questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion?
I have one more question. What's the urgency of this exercise? We're not really up against a timeline?
I would,
Oh.
no, I'm sorry, Kristen. I would say there's a couple things we're trying to get this done in time for, and always with the budget season, and budget season will be on us before we know it. But also union negotiations are this year. With both collective bargaining units, we have 3-year contracts, and this is the year that we're negotiating for a new 3-year contract. So if we want to make any big changes to the contract and across any aspect of the agreement, this would be the year to do it. And we know that wages are always a top priority for our employees, so we'd like to have that independent third study market analysis when we get into negotiations to show where we're at.
Other questions? Comments? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to authorize the staff to initiate the wage study with Alternative HR.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
No.
Okay, do you have a count on that, Amy? Okay.
Looked like it was a 3-2, but if anyone wanted to call division, you sure could.
I just roll call vote it, just so we have it.
Aye.
I'm a nay.
Nay.
Aye.
Aye.
3-2.
Okay. All right. Seeing, we've moved forward on that one, in that we will move to number 27, April 2025 finance updates. Jameson?
I'll let Amy tackle it.
Thank you, Kristen.
These are actually March finance updates for it. This update covers, sorry. This update covers year-to-date through March of 2025, which is 25% through the year. Cash on hand, we have general cash at 12.8 million, investments at 5.94 million, checking at 5.91 million, money market at 686,000, other at 271,000, and restricted cash at 628,000. We have our revenue guidelines.
We're supposed to be at what percentage?
Roughly 25%. I think the big one to mention here is in the general fund, we're at 32.4%. What you're seeing there is from the LAIC Industrial Park. We're the conduit in that factor, and so you see the the expenditures and revenues dumped through the general fund. Any other
Questions?
expenditures? And again, here, the big one is through the general fund, and we're about 80% dispersed on that LAIC. And then we have by fund. By fund year to date. Sales tax, we have an increase of 11.91%, and for year-to-date at 8.42%. And then the graph for sales tax.
Of course, I'll make my note here. You can expect next month, our year-over-year will be down for the month of April. Last year, we had that large peak. I'd be surprised if we beat that this next month. So next month, when you see the number showing down, that's just because of that discrepancy from last year.
And that's it. Any questions?
Questions at all? Comments at all? All right, thank you, Amy. I'm assuming there's no public comment. Under announcements, City Circle, dealing with questions and comments around the infrastructure, will be held Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the community center. And we invite all the public and that wants to stop by and visit to please do so. Our next regular commission meeting will be Monday, May 5th at 5:30 p.m. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.
Recording stopped.